and welcome. So, the other day, I was telling my grandma Babs all about my upcoming math test. I've never felt like I was good at math, and I'm nervous about it. Actually, I'm more than nervous about it. I'm really scared. I started telling her I was sure I was going to forget everything my math teacher has taught me, and I was definitely going to bomb the test. And other people were going to laugh at me, and I would never have a chance to do anything in life. And thankfully, my grandma Babs stopped me right there. She asked me if I knew about the critical creature. I had no idea what she was talking about. What was a critical creature? And what did it have to do with my math test? Well, Grandma Babs told me to take a nice, deep, calming breath, and she'd explain. The first thing I needed to know was that all of my feelings about math might be a condition called math anxiety. And I was not alone. Lots of people of all ages experience it. Math anxiety is a feeling of intense stress when faced with a situation that requires solving a mathematical problem. And we're not just talking a little twinge of worry at having to do log division. It's much more than that. Symptoms of math anxiety can be a feeling of panic, dread, or anger. And the body responds to these emotions with clammy hands, an increased heart rate, and an upset stomach, or even lightheadedness. Someone with math anxiety might freeze up or begin to cry. They might boil over with frustration or anger. They might even run out of the room. There are psychologists, people who study human behavior, who believed all of these emotions and reactions use up the working memory of our brain. This is the short-term memory we use to complete the task we're currently working on. Basically, the panic, dread, or anger push out our ability to think clearly in the moment. So, in response, what do people with math anxiety want to do? Avoid math. They'd rather clean the bathroom with a toothbrush than do fractions. Yep, that's how I felt, all right. Unfortunately, avoiding math doesn't solve anything. If someone fears doing math and constantly avoids it, they miss out on the opportunity to get better. That leads to struggling with math even more and even less success. This, naturally, causes more fear about math. Math anxiety is a terrible cycle. A cycle like this has another name. It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. A self-fulfilling prophecy is when you're so convinced of something about yourself that it actually becomes true because you're so convinced of it. In other words, if someone deeply believes they're terrible at math, they're almost making sure that's what they'll be. The good news is that there are plenty of psychologists who believe that the self-fulfilling prophecy can work in our favor too. If we believe deep in our hearts that we're good at math or art or even tap dancing, we will help ourselves become just that. So, where does math anxiety come from? My uncle says it's not always clear what the source is for someone because there are many possibilities. Someone who suffers from math anxiety might have a close family member who feels like they are bad at math and has convinced them it's just too hard or not important. If someone has spent some time struggling with math, they might have decided they're just not a math person and they give up getting good at it. For others, it might be because they've been in too many high-pressure situations where they had to solve math problems really quickly or in front of others, and they didn't do very well. They lost their self-confidence and never got it back. Sometimes it comes from a belief that anyone who is good at math must be super smart in everything, which puts even more pressure on to be successful. For many people with math anxiety, they often hear a voice inside their heads telling them they're terrible at math and they'll never learn it no matter how hard they try. And this is where the critical creature comes in. My grandma Babs asked me if there was a voice inside my head telling me I was going to fail whenever I was in math class. Definitely, I answered. Well, she said that's the critical creature talking. She thinks most of us have one that lives inside of us that will tell us critical things about ourselves. Things like, you're going to fail, or you are really bad at this, or you can't possibly learn that. All of those things are called negative self-talk, and they aren't helpful at all. So, what should I do? I had a feeling math was everywhere and bound to be in my future, no matter what. Grandma Babs offered some suggestions. The first big one was to just continue to try. Instead of giving up or running out of the room when faced with a math problem, I should just try my best. That's all any of us can do. I should also remind myself that it's okay to make mistakes, give a wrong answer, or not remember exactly how to solve a particular math problem. Albert Einstein was a mathematical genius who once said, "Do not worry about your difficulties in mathematics. I can assure you, mine are still greater." So if Einstein struggled to find the answers to math problems, it was definitely okay if I did. Another suggestion my grandma Babs offered was when I felt anxious to try taking some slow, deep breaths or even do a brief physical activity like a quick walk. Deep breaths send calming messages to my brain, and a physical activity can burn off excess emotion. Another strategy when I was feeling anxious was to tell myself I was excited. According to psychologists, excitement is an emotion that's a close cousin to anxiety, and it may be possible to trick your brain into thinking your racing heart, shallow breathing, and sweaty hands is a positive reaction rather than negative. Basically, I could think of my math test like a fun roller coaster I was about to ride instead of a pit of doom. One more suggestion Grandma Babs had was to journal about my feelings or talk to someone else about them. Sometimes, when we express what's going on inside, we could see our world more clearly and know that some things we believe about ourselves just aren't true. It's like we've exposed the critical creature and told it to just be quiet. Grandma Babs had some additional encouragement. She said the brain is very flexible and can learn anything with time and practice. She also assured me that for some people, math might seem easy, but there was no such thing as a math person who gets it right all the time. Struggling and making mistakes was perfectly normal. Let's consider and calculate some more facts about math and math anxiety. It's estimated that about 20% of the population feels math anxiety. Most experts agree it's a myth that boys are naturally better at math than girls. Some of the most successful, award-winning mathematicians have claimed they experience math anxiety in their younger years. There are lots of resources online who have advice for math teachers who want to reduce the level of math anxiety in their classroom. They include giving students plenty of time to think through problems, mixing up the abilities in math groups, explaining the why of mathematical steps, and encouraging lots of positive self-talk. It's impossible to take math out of our everyday tasks. It shows up in cooking, shopping, driving, scheduling, managing money. The list goes on and on. Math also shows up in our fun activities, sports, music, art, magic tricks, crafts, etc., etc. There is a learning disability connected to mathematics called Dyscalculia. There are special tests and evaluators available to diagnose whether a severe difficulty with math could be this condition. Ready to subtract, worry, and add in some fun? Check out some of these math-centered activities. Make a critical creature. Imagine what your critical creature looks like and make sure it's really, really ugly. Then, draw it on paper or create a model of it using any art materials you desire. You could even create it out of junk materials because, after all, it has nothing nice to say. No, draw a big X through the picture of your critical creature or wrap its mouth with duct tape or put it in a cage. Finally, place your creature in a spot that reminds you that the critical voice inside your head doesn't have to be the boss of you. There are lots of math games available to play online that put the fun back into solving problems. Find one you like and give it a go. You might even want to play some really easy ones just as confidence boosters. There are so many crafts that sneak in math skills without you even knowing. One great example is origami, the ancient Japanese art of folding paper into three-dimensional figures. You can make animals, flowers, insects, and so much more. Origami secretly has you practicing skills in fraction, calculating dimensions, and using your spatial skills. There are lots of math stories and picture books out there that make learning and thinking about math truly fun or funny. Check online with your local librarian for recommendations. One place to start is a book called Math Curse, written by John Sheska and illustrated by Lane Smith. Most board games are a nice, easy practice of math skills. Moving over the correct number of squares using money or counting up tokens are all math. Play some board games on the regular with friends and family members and watch your math skills and your scores improve right before your eyes. If you think you suffer from math anxiety, keep a journal and write down your anxious feelings. Sometimes just getting them out on paper helps them to feel less overwhelming. You also could share your feelings with a friend, family member, teacher, counselor, or another trustworthy person in your life. Everyone needs some positive encouragement now and then. Well, with all of Grandma Bab's information and advice, I feel ready to tackle that math test. I'll just do my best and continue to try. And my critical creature? It could be the one to run out of the room. Thanks for joining me today, and see you next time.
We are thrilled that you're watching Blue Studios 24/7. We're so excited to bring round-the-clock entertainment and educational content to your home. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with our latest videos. At Blue Studios, we aspire to revolutionize the way families spend time together. We empower families by providing them with tools to work together, earn and learn, and achieve new heights of success. Visit www.bluestudios.io to discover more about our mission and how we empower families to succeed. Thank you so much for being part of our community. Keep watching and learning with us. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button.